Welcome and thank you all for joining the Federal Fiscal Compliance and Reporting Division as we go over the Idea B LEA MOE Submitting PEIMS Errors presentation. Here's our standard disclaimer, which is a reminder that this presentation and slide deck reflect TEA's understanding of the federal laws and guidance related to Idea B LEA MOE. However, this guidance does not constitute legal advice, and so LEAs are advised to seek legal counsel regarding the information in this presentation before acting on such information and guidance. Our agenda today includes several topics. We will discuss Idea B LEA MOE process, state reconsideration for LEA PEIMS errors, PEIMS error submission elements, common PEIMS errors, possible consequences of PEIMS errors, upload instructions, process and timeline. For the Idea B LEA MOE process, the FFCR division posts preliminary compliance reviews, which LEAs should compare to their own calculation of MOE, which they've predetermined by gathering data sources and completing the calculation tool. The calculation tool can be found on the Idea B LEA MOE webpage. Once preliminary compliance reviews are available, non-compliant LEAs then submit their allowable exceptions and/or PEIMS errors. In the PEIMS error review process, LEAs submit the Idea B LEA MOE calculation tool, side-by-side chart reflecting correct data, certification and/or required signatures, and supporting documentation. After all exceptions and PEIMS errors have been reviewed and approved by TEA staff, the final Idea B LEA compliance reviews are issued. These final reviews factor in allowable, documented, approved exceptions, and PEIMS errors to determine compliance with the Idea B LEA MOE requirement. Final reports are then posted in GFFC reports and data collections. As authorized by USDE, Texas law, or adopted Commissioner's Rule, TEA may reconsider how certain costs are accounted for in the MOE calculation. One type of TEA state reconsideration available to LEAs includes significant errors in an LEA's reported expenditures in Texas State Data System, TSDS, Public Education Information Management System, PEIMS. The requirements, terms, and conditions for state reconsideration for significant TSDS PEIMS errors are identified in this presentation. The LEA may request a state reconsideration for significant errors in the LEA's reported TSDS PEIMS expenditures by providing the following to TEA. Results returned by the Idea B LEA MOE calculation tool, signed by the LEA's external auditor, showing how the corrections changed the LEA's expenditures. Detailed schedule and/or chart prepared and signed by the LEA's external auditor and signed by the superintendent containing the erroneous and the corrected TSDS PEIMS data. Supporting documentation to substantiate corrected data, written description of how the error occurred, and the administrative procedures taken to ensure such TSDS PEIMS data errors do not reoccur. In the next few slides, we will be showing required documents to be submitted to report PEIMS errors which impact the LEA's Idea B LEA MOE compliance. The LEA will provide results returned by the Idea B MOE calculation tool, signed by the LEA's external auditor, showing how the corrections change the LEA's final expenditure amounts. In addition, page 3 of the calculation tool should match the summary chart of corrections outlined in the next slide. This is an example of the detailed schedule and/or chart prepared and signed by the LEA's external auditor and certified and signed by the superintendent, containing the erroneous and the corrected TSDS PEIMS data broken down by function and PIC codes. In addition to the required documents mentioned in the previous slides, submit supporting documentation from the LEA's financial accounting system to substantiate erroneous and corrected data as applicable to the specific PEIMS error reported. Some examples include year-to-date payroll account distribution journal summaries, which document the erroneous coding used, detailed transactions for expenditure accounts, inquiry information of all accounts, purchase invoices, other pertinent documentation. Documentation should clearly indicate the fund code, PIC code, and year in which the expenditure was made. Another documentation requirement is a narrative description written on LEA letterhead, signed by the superintendent, which contains information of how the error occurred and the administrative procedures to ensure which TSDS PEIMS errors do not reoccur in the future. We will discuss common PEIMS errors in expenditure reporting below. Using an incorrect program intent code, PIC code, for legitimate special education expenditures, staff, capital items, etc., which should be correctly coded PIC 23, 33, 43. Coding special education dyslexia expenditures as PIC 37, general education dyslexia, instead of PIC 43, Special Education Dyslexia. When changing fiscal year, reporting only 10 months of expenditures in PEIMS instead of correctly doing the conversion to 12 months of expenditures. Shared Service Arrangement, or SSA, fiscal agents are required to report expenditures on behalf for all member LEAs for Fund 437, SSA Type 11. Common fiscal agent reporting errors. Inputting an incorrect county district number, CDN, for a member, transposing expenditure amounts for 2 or more member LEAs, typos and/or mistakes in the reported expenditure amounts, misplaced decimals in the reported expenditure amounts, omitting 1 or more member LEAs from the reporting, reporting for the incorrect SSA type, should be Type 11. It is recommended that fiscal agents and member LEAs set up a collaborative review process prior to submission of O33 record data to check for data accuracy. When reporting significant PEIMS errors, keep in mind that any decision to use revised data in the calculation of IDEA B MOE determinations will not change the official TSDS PEIMS data, which is the agency's official system of record. The official TSDS PEIMS data is final and will remain unchanged on all TEA products and reports that rely on that information. Submission of PEIMS corrections for IDEA B MOE purposes. Incorrect data will be replaced by corrected data only in the IDEA B LEA database. LEA notifies TEA of significant TSDS PEIMS errors in the LEA's reported expenditures in the process of requesting the state reconsideration. TEA's FFCR division will make the following notifications of the erroneous data submission to the following TEA divisions and departments with the following possible results. Financial Compliance Division. Possible increased risk for audit, investigation, and/or review. State Funding Division. Possible effect on state funding. Federal Fiscal Monitoring Division. LEA's possible identification as a high-risk grantee. High-risk grantees may be subject to a review of all reimbursements across 1 or more grants, or a random sampling of expenditures across 1 or more grants. Office for Statewide Education Data Systems. LEA's possible identification as a high-risk grantee. Department of Accreditation and School Improvement, possible increased risk for investigation and/or review. Enforcement Coordination and Governance Division, LEA possibly recommended for district-level interventions or sanctions based on investigation findings. Once the LEA has compiled their supporting documentation for their identified PEIMS errors, complete the following steps to submit your LEA's completed documents related to a reporting significant PEIMS error. Log on to the TEA login, TEAL, select GFFC reports and data collections, select Upload Response Documents, select IDEA B LEA MOE support documents from the Response Template Title pull-down menu, select Response Document from the Response Doc Type pull-down menu, select the respective compliance year from the school year pull-down menu, and finally select Upload Document. This timeline consists of important dates which are good cue for LEAs of when things are due. Early March, to the administrator address TAA heads-up letter will be posted to TEA correspondence webpage. In mid-late March, IDEA B LEA MOE preliminary compliance determinations will be available in GFFC reports and data collections. Early April, 10 business days after preliminary reports, is the deadline for LEAs to submit IDEA B LEA MOE exception requests and/or PEIMS errors. April and May, TEA will review LEA exception requests and PEIMS errors, and in June, final compliance reviews will be posted in GFFC reports. Thank you for your time during this presentation. We are always happy to assist with any questions you may have. Please reach out to the compliance team with any additional questions at compliance@tea.texas.gov.